This is the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast, hosted by David Charlton, and you're listening to this podcast to help you build your own mental toughness, or so that you can support other people or your clients better. Either way, you will learn more about developing this plastic personality trait that all but guarantees that you will perform better and lead a more prosperous life. Hi there, welcome back to the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with your host, David Charlton. And today, and for the next 4 episodes, I'm going to be joined by another colleague. My colleague today is Colm O'Donoghue, who's a pretty impressive golfer, and he's also got a big interest in sports psychology. So to start with, Colm's just going to introduce himself there and explain his background around golf and his interest in sports psychology, and then we'll delve into a case study. Over to you, Colm.
Thank you very much, David, and thanks for having me on the podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. So I don't know how impressive it is. Sometimes it's more impressive than others, but I really enjoy the sport, and I like to play kind of competitive elite amateur golf. My interest in psychology goes back. I played golf when I think I started with pitch and putt. That's what got me into golf. And then from ages 13 to 17, I golfed to a decent level at underage and then gave up. So went to college, studied psychology, worked in mental health and got back into golf kind of later on in my mid-20s and decided to pursue the competitive side again. That's what led me to sports psychology because, as we all know, golf is psychologically a demanding sport, and I had a lot of information and knowledge around, I suppose, the psychological aspects of golf and theories, but yet it's good having that knowledge, but when you apply it to your game, you do need that extra little bit of help to do so. Getting hints and tips, it's all great, but bringing it all together and applying it so that you have a strong psychological element to your golf game, I think that's what really brought me to kind of working in this field.
So yeah, I'm intrigued in terms of that. Maybe your biggest mental challenge, golfing wise. Do you want to go and share that before we delve into this case study?
Well, it's always a work in progress, David. So I guess I would have what you would call perfectionist tendencies. And I suppose you can have perfectionist striving, and perfectionist concerns. And I suppose I was more on the concerned side of things, concerned about making mistakes, concerned about having embarrassing results, concerned about having the perfect swing, these types of things. So those they led to me not enjoying the sport as I had when I was playing kind of freer when I was younger and when I got back into the game and wasn't competing. So yeah, I guess then studying sports psychology, developing mindset that will allows me to perform and enjoy the sport, and stay engaged. Whereas before I would have, I suppose, had periods of intense engagement followed by periods of the game doesn't exist anymore. I need a break. So yeah, I think there are certainly things you can do to stay motivated and keep the game enjoyable throughout the golfing season. That's the challenge for me.
I'm chuckling because everything you mentioned there, I say an awful lot with clients, but yeah, I've been guilty of that in the past as well. And
Mhm.
yeah, some of these case studies are really, they're going to hone in on specific, like on some of those specific traits, and then we're going to just discuss real life case studies, but just give different names essentially. So yeah, let's go there. So first one, we're going to start with a young golfer. We're going to call him Jack for the purpose of today. He's 14 years old. We'll give him a 5 handicap, so he's a pretty good golfer for his age. Now, Jack though is very, very score orientated, and he loves match play, but put a card in his hand, often the wheels can come off. Do you want to just share your thoughts on this, the types of problems that being so score orientated can bring up?
Yeah, so it sounds like for this young man, there's a difference between his match play and his stroke play. So the thing that jumps out with me between the two different formats is, I guess, in match play, you're playing one other player, and every hole is a reset. Um, so you're getting you play a hole, you win, you lose, or you draw, and you're one up, you're one down, or you're all square. So you come to the next hole, and it continues on. So you kind of reset. Each hole is an opportunity to win. Whereas with stroke play, I think people can get ahead, especially with some of the people I've worked with. They become so fixated on the score, they forget that the score is the result of the process. So that's where I think when you get a player who is good at match play but can't translate the stroke play, they're probably good golfer, as you say, playing off five, even though he's probably not playing to his full potential when he's being handicapped as such, and a better match play player because he's probably playing something like junior scratch golf against players who are, when they're playing stroke play, they're playing closer to their ability, whereas he's playing less close to his ability because he's better than that. I suppose the tips that I'd be giving would be around getting this mindset of focusing on the process, really dialing in what is it that I do in my pre-shot routine. Can I accept mistakes? Is this golfer someone who is able to stay present, or are they, as you say, just fixated on the score? And one of the things I like to say is about a score, you don't have one until you walk off the 18th green. So if you think you have a score after 14 holes or 12 holes because you're shooting better than you expected, then you've now gone into the future and you're no longer present, and that's where the process exists in the present moment. So there are definitely a number of things that we can do to help this individual, depending on what part of the process they're losing between their match play and their stroke play. Where what's different? Where's the mind gone?
Well, I've been making notes here. There's quite a few little things I've picked up on. So you mentioned there about match play being able to reset hole by hole. So yeah, thinking about this whole past focus, future focus, being able to stay present in match play, there's probably a reality where unless you say two up and you're dreaming of winning 4-3 or 5-4, you are likely to be more present and more standing on the next tee box, wanting to crush the drive down the middle of the fairway, or standing over the putt, doing what you need to do to hole it. So that's one thing. And as you say, I suppose the being in the future, if you're three over par after 9 holes, it's very easy, isn't it, then to get. And I would imagine Jack's like this, where he's predicting, right, okay, I'm three over after 9. If I do this on the 10th and the 11th, and then this on the 12th, and then so he's predicting basically, right, yeah, I'm going to get it back to a, I don't know, level par. Or he might be going the other way, thinking, oh, if I don't like the 13th or the 14th, oh, I could shoot 80 here quite easily. So yeah, trying to bring yourself back to the here and now, and that's where your pre-shot comes into it, is crucial, no doubt about it. What would you say as well? Because I suppose it's when you're so future focused and so focused on the score, you it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster ride in some ways, isn't it? Because the a double bogey or a bogey, the arousal level ramps up a notch. The bad strike is a bad strike, but you would think it's the end of the world. How yeah, how do you just bring that arousal, the adrenaline levels down a little, so again we can be grounded more in the present?
It's a great question, and I think you've kind of alluded to it there around the pre-shot routine. If we can get the person present for their pre-shot routine. So some people see a pre-shot routine as a series of physical steps that I go through before I hit the ball. Whilst that's true, and from an outsider watching someone, that is true, and the timing can be very similar, the movements can be very similar. for me, a good pre-shot routine is about mindset. Have I made a solid decision? Am I double guessing? So if I'm wondering about, oh, I need a birdie here, I'm putting pressure on myself, there might be extra tension. So what I like in a pre-shot routine is a nice deep breath with a full exhalation as I walk into it. So now you're coming in a relaxed state. You've kind of had your moment to think, what shot do I want to hit here? And you've decided, so you're committed. You're committed on the shot, and now you can get into the routine of, I want to pick, or I want to go through a routine now that I've done loads of times before, that keeps me target orientated. I've picked my target, I've seen the shot. I'm not worried about, oh, I need to get this to 5 foot to put up a birdie because I'm three over. What we're focusing on is, that's my target. That's the shot I feel I can hit, that I'm confident I can hit. And this is how I'm going about my business in a positive, confident mindset with as little tension as possible. When we're worrying about the future and worrying about the future score, we're bringing in tension. So taking that deep breath and just doing a quick body scan, just noticing, is there any extra tension? Is there any doubt? Is there anything like that around my body before I step in and go through my routine? To me, is more important than following the the alignment, the ball position, checking all these types of things, and maybe getting a bit technical. Is my backswing perfect? These types of thoughts. To me, it's more about, am I committed? Do I feel I can pull off the shot, and flowing through it in a kind of a present orientated, target orientated manner. To me, that would be far more important than, I need to get this to 5 foot to make a birdie because I'm three over. So, and I'll go through these X, Y, and Z steps to make that happen. Which is just bringing in pressure. It's bringing in too many thoughts, this type of thing. So that would be a huge element.
Great. Well, look, I'm going to wrap this one up
Mm-hmm.
with a few, by summarizing this.
Sounds
We could
good.
talk about this all day, I know for a
Yeah,
fact.
you can dig
But
into this and really break it down, but yeah, and it does take practice. I think it's having gone through this loads of times that it just feels natural. And that you need to, I suppose, become self-aware as to when the thoughts, when there is doubt, or when you're thinking ahead, or when you're putting pressure on yourself, and being aware of your body as well, and if you're holding those types of tensions.
let's summarize this into like three tips then. So
Sounds good.
you've got the self-awareness piece there, is essentially is recognizing what you're feeling, be that you're ahead of yourself, or maybe you're stuck in the past as to anger, rage, and from the previous hole. So that's the first thing. Number two is having something up your sleeve there to be able to reset, bring yourself back to the present, and that can link to the pre-shot routine. We could probably quite easily give another 10 tips, but we're not going to do that today. But certainly in that pre-shot routine, if we're thinking about if the arousal level, adrenaline level is up, we can bring that down by body scan, by like breathing, as you say, and intertwined with that pre-shot, if you can get your head around it as a golfer, that the pre-shot is all about, or a large part of that is about mindset. So you can positively stand over your shot or your putt, and then go and execute. Then yeah, you won't go too far wrong. I could have quite easily waffled on and told you about some of my struggles, but yeah, I'm not going to go there. So
You,
yeah,
you and me both, David.
yeah, exactly. We'll leave it at that. And if there are any golfers out there who are familiar with this, there'll be thousands, millions, perhaps, around the world. Or any parents who can see it in their children, then please do get in touch with us. We'd love to have a conversation. The email address is info@sport-excellence.co.uk, and either myself or Colm would happily, as I say, have a conversation and share any wisdom. So yeah, have a great day, and yeah, big thank you, Colm. If you enjoyed this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with David Charlton, do check out my website, sport-excellence.co.uk, and my online sports psychology resources. The Sport-Excellence website has essential resources for anyone looking to build their own mental toughness or the mental toughness of their athletes or teams, or if you want to achieve peak performance more often or optimal functioning. The Sport Excellence website has everything you need to keep moving forward and thrive. So go on, head over to sport-excellence.co.uk to find out more.